Hi, everybody.
How's it going?
Good. Great day out here. I mean, perfect weather, good practice, first day in pads. It always makes you as a coach a little bit nervous uh, for a lot of reasons. Number one, it can get a little bit spirited, and you're always worried about player safety. But I thought we did a good job of competing hard, playing right on the edge, and not taking it too far. Um, Ben Wysocki did get hurt. We don't know the extent of it yet, but it is an ankle injury. They're evaluating it now. It was a good day at work. I mean, they they've learned how to practice with intensity. They've learned how to practice with passion, and still take care of each other. So I appreciate that. And I think that's how you get better as a football team, because you get good, tough, hard, competitive work in, and guys aren't getting hurt all over the field. So that was a good practice.
Darren Andrews, I don't think we had a chance to ask you about him.
He had his knee checked out yesterday. They did a little scope, and I haven't heard the results of it yet. So we'll find out shortly.
Does that
And
pretty much rule him out for the rest of spring?
probably, I would be very surprised if it didn't. I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty sure. And then the update on Malcolm Bunch is all positive. Yesterday afternoon, late, I think they got the admittance thing all handled. Some of his paperwork came in late. And so, I mean, there's a process you have to go through. I mean, there's nothing that's wrong. There's no issues. There's nothing that's going to, turn the tide. It's just getting the paperwork done and everything processed. I thought that there's a chance that he'd be able to go through practice this morning, but we couldn't get it done. So he should be out here Monday. And then I think he'll have to acclimatize or acclimate or whatever they say for 2 days. So
No pads.
no pads, yeah. It doesn't even look like he needs pads, though. I mean, he's really impressed so far with the way our offensive line is performing. In particular, Caleb and Powasi. Those guys have stood out to me. Caleb, just a grown man, looks great. Powasi, his athleticism shows. He's put on a lot of good weight. He's got really good feet. I think it's great that he lines up against Oa quite often, and they work against each other, because, Oa's going to give you all he's got every play. And that's how Powasi's going to get better. And then Alex, really the offensive line has looked good. I was excited to see how Craig Lee would look out here the first day, because he's flashed. The first day of pads, he's flashed the first 2 days without pads, and he didn't look like anything different than he's looked the first 2 days. I mean, he stood out to me. Mossy Johnson stood out to me again. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not, but because you probably see more of the entire practice than I do, but without looking at the film, he stood out to me. Najee stands out to me. He plays with really good leverage, and he's violent, and he finishes. So I think we're making good progress. Brett, I thought was sharp again. I think we have to all be careful how we evaluate Brett in a spring like this, because part of what he's doing is he's experimenting. He's trying to push boundaries. So sometimes he might look like he's thrown into coverage that he wouldn't typically do. Now, you don't want it to become a habit, obviously, but you're pushing some things and trying to experiment and see where we can go with some plays. We've got some new concepts in, but I think that he's throwing the ball really well, has great command. So it's a good start. Good first 3 days.
Did you guys decide when you're recruiting Mossy that he's going to be a receiver rather than QB?
We didn't decide until probably, honestly, 3 or 4 weeks ago. Yeah, he was here, and it came. I asked him what he'd prefer, and his first answer was, really, I don't care, I just want to play. And then it kind of gravitated from that towards, I think I'd like to try receiver first, and we kind of have I think more of a need there numbers wise, and I think he's looked really good. I'm nervous still with him out there. Anytime I see that brace, I get a little nervous, but I think he catches the ball really well, and he looks athletic, and he looks longer than I thought he would.
Do you go back in that kind of situation? Do you go back and actually watch his high school tape and maybe make the decision where you want to start him?
We didn't. I mean, I think you could. It was just more what he wanted and necessity, and it looks to be the right decision. Just off of 3 days. I mean, he looks really athletic as a receiver. I don't know if you guys see that as well, but from what I've seen, and I'm not saying he's perfect or he's always running the right route, but when the ball comes to him, he's able to maneuver his body. And he made a really nice catch down here a couple days ago. And his feet weren't in, but it was just a heck of a catch. So you see things like that, it gets you excited.
You know, Zach was saying that it's been a little fast for him.
Yeah.
He wasn't necessarily used to it, but what have you seen from him?
You know, it was interesting. Zach came out the first day and really caught everybody's eye because of his athleticism. And then Thursday, Zach didn't feel like he'd gotten enough work in on Tuesday, so he came out here and worked on his own. I found this out after practice for an hour and a half. Hit bags, did change of direction stuff, ran sprints for an hour and a half on his own before practice. And he came out here Thursday and he was dead. He did not look good. Today, early in practice, he looked good. And then, it's a little different. It's a little different. But you can see him catching up fast. I mean, he's incredibly athletic. He's got length. He's got a real passion. He can bend and move laterally. He's got speed. There'll be times on film when he's just chasing a ball down. He's just chewing up the ground. And I think he's a real promising player. I think he's going to accelerate very quickly. And we're excited about it. It's all those freshmen, all those early entry guys have caught our eye. They all look good. So we just got to keep getting better.
Can you talk about your thought process when Lou left and just thinking about hiring Coach
Jeff
Brick as your DC?
Well, I've known Jeff for a long, long time. When I was at San Francisco as a coordinator, we drafted him. And so I've just known the man for years and always had a great deal of respect for him as a person first. The day before I got fired in Seattle was, I think he retired, and I was trying to hire him. And then I got fired, and fortunately Pete kept him on. And you could just tell that he was going to be a great coach. And then he was able to demonstrate it. As a player, you could tell he's going to be a great coach. You could just, he got a couple of years with Pete. And then having been around him for the last 2 years and watching him coach up close and personal, just made perfect sense that he'd be the guy. I mean, he coaches the way he played the game. He was detail-oriented, tremendous passion, great competitor. All of those things. Really great communicator as a middle linebacker. Everything ran through him. He was a guy that understood every position on the defense. When we would communicate during a game, he would understand what I was saying. The concepts made sense, whether it applied to his position, the front, or the secondary. And then, I've gotten the chance to sit in there for 2 years and watch him talk to the whole team as a special teams coordinator. And so it just seemed very natural. We have very similar philosophies with regards to scheme, with regards to technique, with regards to effort, with regards to trying to put players in the right position, all of those things. And, he's fun to watch coach. And these players really respond to him. I think it'll be exciting to see where this thing goes on defense.
Seems like he definitely brings some energy, just running up and down. Looks like
He's got great energy.
Sweating by the end of practice.
Well, I think he takes it as a challenge, and then I think he likes to get a workout in. I think part of it is he's just got great energy, but somewhere deep in there, he's one of those guys that he sees everything as a chance to work out. So okay, if I can run from drill to drill, that's like a 40-yard dash. Yeah, that's a good workout. He's kind of like that. He's goofy. He's crazy. He's a nut. I love him.
It seems like he climbed up the ladder pretty fast too. Is that just a product of the situation he was in, or is that something that reflects just on what you saw in him as a player, that he was just a natural-born coach?
Well, here's what I think a great reflection of Jeff is the fact that in today's NFL, how often do you see a player stay with one team for his entire career, 10 years? And he stayed with San Francisco for 10 years. And we're not talking about the most talented player. I mean, certainly he had talent, but he wasn't the most talented. He did it with work ethic, with a commitment, with knowledge, with just, dissecting every part of the defense, every part of the offense. And so, yeah, it looks like he's ascended quickly, but really, since he started playing the game, he's been aiming at coaching. So he didn't just play the game to play the game. I mean, he didn't just go to meetings to learn his position. I mean, he went to meetings when he was playing to learn football. And so I think that while it appears that he ascended quickly, I mean, it's been a long trek for him. So part of his education in becoming a coach was being a player. And he's one of those rare guys that can apply it very, very, very well and break it down for the players. He's done a heck of a job.
All right.
Okay, all right, everybody. Thanks.